So as I mentioned, so Guardians League, Global Surf Racing League, will have 3 tours: Oceania, North America, and Europe. Okay. Within each tour, there'll be 4 events. So there'll be 3 major events and then 1 tour-ending tour championship. Okay. And so they'll be basically boxed into tours. So think a bit like golf, if you know golf at all: Asian Tour, European Tour, US PGA Tour, kind of their own tours. But the beauty of what we have is that the Guardians League will be an overarching piece across the top with these tours that will spread out. Within each of those tours, so as I mentioned, there'll be 4 events in each tour. We'll have 3-day race weekends. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so we'll go into an iconic city, wherever that may be. Let's just say it's the Gold Coast. And over a 3-day weekend, we will run mass participation experiences in the morning into elite experiences in the afternoon across the 3 days. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. What does the racing look like? The racing is essentially team-based. So there will be 6 franchises. So think NRL, think rugby union, think franchise. So it's a franchise-based league. So there'll be 6 global franchises, okay, that'll sit at the top. And then each franchise will have 3 markets, 1 market per tour. So say it's the Lightning. Okay, so the Lightning is the franchise. They will have the Sydney Lightning, they will have the LA Lightning, and they'll have the London Lightning. So franchise at top, and then they'll split into and have those 3 markets, and they will basically operate that team, that franchise team in those markets. Okay, and so 8 athletes per team. So it's gender equal, 4 male and 4 female, 2 swimmers, 2 board paddlers, 2 kayak paddlers, and 2 runners, but in essence, sprinters. And so that's how the athletes will spread. As I mentioned, from a format perspective, there'll be lots of various formats and ways that we go about it over the various race weekends as it builds out. But essentially, to start with, we have a sprint format on the Friday, which will be very much short, sharp relay racing. So think, as I mentioned to you before, think mixed Taplin, but with elite runners doing the running, doing the transition running. It'll be longer than your standard, but it'll be somewhere between 100 to 150 metres. Okay, so that'll be the transition. So a kayaker will tag you, you'll do the transition run, and you'll tag the swimmer. And they'll be longer than what they normally are at a standard surf life-saving carnival. They'll be out around that 100 to 150 metres. And so very much sprint racing on the Friday, and that'll basically fall in at between 5 and 7 p.m. And so it can be live into Friday evening before Big Bash cricket. Yeah. And so that'll be Friday. Saturday, it'll be team-based. Again, all of it's team-based racing, but essentially think this racing will be where you'll race individually. So the male swimmer will do a swim against a male swimmer. A female swimmer will swim against a female swimmer. For you guys, it'll be 100-metre beach sprint. Female, male against each other. And basically across that, everyone will race each other as individuals across the 2. Points will be accumulated. Whoever has the highest or lowest points at the end will be a handicap final relay race for the winner. Okay, so we call it pursuit style racing. No, that's fine, buddy. So pursuit style racing, but it gives all of the athletes an opportunity to get outside of just the relay model and race each other head to head. Okay. So that'll be Saturday, and that'll be on Saturday afternoon. And then there's Sunday, which is battle style racing. And so battle is very much team on team. So one team under a relay format will basically go against another team in a knockout format to an end result where there's one team standing. Okay. Across the 3, a bit like Ryder Cup in golf, points accumulated across the 3 days. Whichever team has the most points at the end on the Sunday is the winning team for that particular round. Okay, so that will be how kind of the race weekends, etc., lay out and what the race formats will look like. How does athletes come into it? Okay, so there is a team principal, much like Formula One. So they're not a coach. This is your coach. Team principal. So they manage the team in that particular franchise city. So team principal, we will run what's called an athlete auction. Okay, if you know IPL cricket, or have seen, it's kind of similar to that model, where athletes will have complete at their choice, at their discretion, they'll submit to be part of the auction. And in that auction setting, team principals will select their team. Okay, and so it's completely at your discretion and choice whether you come in and join the auction, but you would come up and a team principal will sit, and at that particular time, at that particular moment, when your name and profile comes, they will pick you and bid for you. So what you want, the circumstances, is you'll want multiple team principals bidding for you. The more that's happening, the more your value goes up. Yeah, and whatever you go for at auction, that is your pay. Okay, and so that's how that kind of lays out from an athlete auction perspective. So that's how teams will come in. There'll be an athlete auction, or athletes come in. There'll be an athlete auction for the Oceania Tour, there'll be an athlete auction for the North American Tour, and there'll be an athlete auction for the European Tour. Okay, why we're doing that is because athletes from around the world, including Australia, may only want to do the Oceania Tour because they've got Diamond League, or they've got, World Aquatics have got a series on, or kayaks have to go off and do World Cup races. Then you're basically, over a 2-month period, have the opportunity to come in, race in Guardians League, and then head off for whatever you need to do for the rest of your season. Or you can choose a really lucrative option, which is we want to do all tours. Okay? And so then you would go into the auction for all of them, but it gives you choice. The key thing for us throughout all of this is putting the athlete at the centre. We want you guys because I was an athlete, we want you guys to have as much choice as possible about how you engage with this. Whether you engage with it and how you engage with it. And so that you can then build a calendar of program over a season, and you go, okay, I'm going to go and do that between this month and this month, but I'm not going to do it the next time, I'm going to go and do something else. Or I might swing back for the European Tour because I'd like to go to Europe and be on a European team, and I'll plug into that. And so that's how that piece will work from an auction perspective. The Oceania Tour will be November and December next year, so 2027. We're very focused at the start as our broadcast, so we've been working with our broadcast partners for a number of months now, looking very much at January, February in 2027. And so we obviously said we want Olympians and high-level athletes in our league, and so we worked with Fox and DAZN to push it to November, December, which is a much better space for the federations and for you guys as athletes, again, being athlete-centered, trying to create a league that supports all of your ambitions as much as possible. And I think that's a critical piece here for us, is about I've worked in the Australian sporting system for nearly 15 years, all of the funded sports I've worked with, at a high performance participation and sport entertainment perspective. I have an understanding of what it can feel like to be an athlete who's aspiring for Olympic glory or for World Championship glory, etc. We want to put you in a place where you are being remunerated at a professional athlete level. And that's what we're working really hard to do. For the 2 months, if you choose to be part of the Oceania Tour, for that 2 months, you'll be remunerated at a professional athlete level. And we're able to do that purely off the back of how many eyeballs are going to be watching, because of DAZN, because of Fox and more. That we can obviously then, because of all of those eyeballs, we can accrue commercial sponsorships, host city agreements and more that allow us to put ourselves in a position where you guys are securing the type of remuneration that you should be as a professional athlete. Okay? And that's definitely something that I'm very committed to and have been from the start, and was one of the design, what we call the design principles in designing this, is positioning you guys in a place where you are being remunerated as a true professional athlete. And so if you are in all 3 tours, you are absolutely going to be remunerated the way that you should be. And so that's been a big focus for us. I'll touch on, so as I've kind of unpacked all of it, the best way to look at us and the way we've positioned ourselves is we're called an ecosystem enhancer or grower. What we're trying to do is come in at the top at a global league level with just the best of the best, like the 0.05% competing in the league. Everyone else who's interested in the sport or participating in the sport are fans. We see them as fans. If we're successful at what we do, then all the 4 sports will grow. All the 4 at a global level and at a national, regional level. So if I was to take Australia as an example, and so if we do our job well, there are more kids racing at track. There are more kids in surf lifesaving clubs. There's more kids swimming in pool. There's more kids doing kayak and canoe and whatever it may be. If we're doing our job well, there are more kids, teenagers, etc., competing in things like World Ocean Series events. Okay, because they're inspired, they want to be part of this, so they're working really hard at their club in Clubland, they're competing in World Ocean Series, they're potentially trying to get onto Iron Series, whatever it may be. They can be a professional board paddler, they can be a professional kayak or ski paddler, they can be a professional beach sprint or track athlete, and they can be a professional surf swimmer or swimmer. Okay, so they don't have to be a multidiscipline athlete anymore. And so that will grow. Race 1, perfect example. Our ambition, if we do our job well, there is more boards and skis being sold. You know, we anticipate there'll be a bunch of athletes in our racing that will be racing on Race 1 Surfcraft, who will be inspiring other kids to race on Race 1 Surfcraft and buy Race 1 Surfcraft. And so we're not leaning into any manufacturers. We're not conflicting with other events in the market. And we want more people doing more events in the sports that they're into, and if it's surf lifesaving, it's that. We want more kids who are swimming pool to be racing in pool events, but also racing for surf lifesaving clubs and coming down and joining up. Same goes for kayak. More kids wanting to be kayakers, etc. And so in what we're doing, if we do our job well and we inspire more kids and more people, they will participate in the sports, the 4 sports. They'll become fans of the athletes in the sports. They'll become fans of Guardians League athletes. They'll follow you. They'll give you more of a platform. It'll help you attract more from a branding perspective. So we are just trying to shine a huge light on the 4 sports and the athletes in the 4 sports, so that you all and everybody around you and providers like Vikings, Athletics, etc., are generating more revenue, more money, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger as a system. So we're not coming in and trying to take things out. We're actually trying to come in over the top where there isn't anything right now, because there's not. There is some things from World Athletics have some things, Diamond League, etc. There are other things in those specific environments, but there's nothing that's being globally broadcast in the surf racing perspective. And so if we do our job well there, everything grows. So, any questions?
Yeah, is the money paid in AU or
Good question. Good question. What I can say there is all of our modelling is done in USD.
Yeah. I guess my question would be, teams are going to have 2 sprinters, male and female. Injuries happen a lot.
Yeah.
Like we see in the IPL, people get paid to go and sit on the sidelines for 2 months. Is there going to be reserves? What's going to happen with injuries?
Absolutely. So we have something specifically designed for that, which we'll absolutely announce in the coming months. But there will be, let's say, reserves or backups that will be in place as injuries, injury reserves. We will use that very much as well as a developmental opportunity for young athletes who are in the pathway that want to come in and be part of it. And so, yes, we absolutely have a mechanic for that, and there will be reserves or pools of reserves that teams can draw on.
I know.
Cool.
Who funds the travel if you're on the full tour? Is it the athlete funded or is the team principal doing it?
No, so that'll be teams will fund. And so they'll make decisions in various during the auction process. They'll know where their athletes are from. They'll know what associated costs will be related to an athlete coming from another region, and so that will be looked after by the teams, not by the athletes.
The World Championship, essentially, is that in 3 years' time? Are you going to gradually go Oceania and Asia and Europe?
Yeah.
And is that Like, what do you win for a world championship? Is it just the title, or?
Yeah, so what we'll have is we'll have prize pools for tour championships as they grow, and then there'll obviously be a prize pool for the world championship. How that will work is, yes, we will, in 2027, which at the back end of the year is the Oceania, we will, again, because of that gap that's required to secure athlete services, there'll be a gap between January and July for LA, because basically you guys will go into lockdown. The track swimmers, etc. Swimming Australia's, Australian Athletics, etc. will basically put athletes into a lockdown to focus purely on the pathway into LA Games. So there won't be a Guardians League event in that period. We will have a North American Tour kickoff straight after LA 2028. Then we'll roll back into Oceania, and then we will continue on. World Championship will be 2029, location to be determined. How that will work is that the franchises will select the best athletes from across the tour to compete in that season-ending World Championship.
In the auction, is there a minimum starting bid, or is it like you start at zero?
It's a really good question. I can't give that away just now, but please be assured that the way the auction will be set up will be the layers will be associated to personal performances, but also commercial value. So it'll be both. But in saying that, and this is something that I stress, our league is for the best of the best. It's not for influencers. Okay? So, yeah.
Going kind of off Jacob's one, how does the bid kind of work? Like, how is a team principal going to know? Like, is there a pre-competition? Are the athletes?
Great question. As soon as we started doing the research, I started scouting. We started the scouting process of athletes, just understanding athletes, their performances over a number. I've watched so much tape of athletes racing, everything from in your world, track, from Diamond League to national championships to stall gifts to, I've watched a ton of tape, and that will continue on across all the 4 sports. And so the team principals will, once they're selected, will fall into that same bucket. So you guys will be scouted much the same as what an NFL team scouts a college player, as much as an NBA, etc. So definitely go through the process over the time before leading into the auction as to understanding all of you at a really deep level as athletes and as people as well, and also from the commercial standpoint, who is going to be really attractive from a commercial element. And the team principals, when they sit and are making choices, it's what an auction does is it draws it down to a moment in time. And so they may have chosen 3 athletes over here, and they've spent so much, and right now they're looking at this athlete, they know what they've got and how they'll spend it and whether that athlete's right for them right at that moment. Okay, so and then it'll come down to strategy as well. So the team principals will make strategic decisions about who they'll choose, how they'll choose them, where they're coming from, their level of experience and depth and strength. There'll be some that are Olympic gold medalists. There'll be some that'll be emerging athletes that are coming up out of the system. And so what an auction does is it basically puts a decision into a team principal down to a specific point in time that they choose an athlete, to choose to bid on an athlete or not. But they will have all the information that they need right alongside them, and it'll also, prior to that, about an athlete who is up as part of the process. And that's why it comes back to being about athletes and not influencers.
How are the team principals chosen?
Good question. So the league will choose them, and we'll choose them based on a range of different factors. But what I can say is that they will absolutely have a background in one of the 4 sports, like a long and reasonably prestigious background in one of the 4 sports. But when you think team principal, think Christian Horner, Toto Wolff, Formula One type of team principals that not only bring that level of depth and expertise in lots of different ways, but also are great personalities as well, because they'll add that layer to it.
In the scoring breakdown, is it 25% total score from each sport? Because if I was a team principal, I'd be looking at, okay, is the track guys are only running 150 metres, 100 metres, they're not going to have that much time to have an input. Will we be, less of a priority as opposed to someone paddle that might go for a couple of minutes. How does that break down?
Good question. And that'll come down to the strategy to the team principal. And they'll look at lots of different factors, okay? So each auction will be in its own, and that's another really important aspect of having an auction in front of each tour. So when a team principal sits there, they'll look at where are the host cities. Okay, are there 3 of them in flat conditions with 1 in waves? All right, I'm going to steer away from athletes who are good in waves and steer more in this direction, which may be cheaper for them to do. They will look at the different formats that are going to be during that particular event or those particular events. Okay, the running looks like this. The runners will have a real impact because the best way to think about this is that there are 6 of the world's best of their discipline all battling against each other. The margin of difference, there's no branch champion sitting here trying to compete against an Olympic gold medalist. Literally, it's the world's best. So it'll be incredibly tight racing. And so where seconds will really matter. And so the choices made of the amount of transition running that'll take place will be really important. They'll also think strategically about that Saturday race, which is going to be important about having a best possible runners to be able to win that 100, especially if it's the last race going into the relay. And so they'll all make decisions strategically on a range of different things. They'll also look at things from a commercial standpoint because they have a responsibility to grow the team in their market. So they'll have to make choices around who are my marquee athletes, who are my not marquees, they're our grinders, and they're not the ones that are the face of our franchise. They're more about the ones that are there to win, really win, and they're our difference makers. So team principals will have to make choices on a number of different factors, and that's why we've used an auction, because it all comes down to one point in time. The other reason we've used an auction and chosen an auction, because we don't want to pay agents, we want to pay you. No 20%ers floating around, no lawyers, no none of that. It's all right in at that time, and you will have all the information about the auctions, the mechanic, all of that leading into it, and you'll have the choice whether you want to be part of it or not. Again, giving you guys the choice, which is really important to us.
I guess for me,
No.
Are you trying to retire or something?
when I wasn't talking,
No, go. I love it. I love it. I love it. No.
So for me, I've never ran on the beach.
Yep.
And I'm probably not going to run on the beach in a competitive environment until the potential of me going up at auction. So how does that look? Is someone going to take a gamble, essentially?
Yep, I would say they will absolutely consider that. The other thing that's important to us is that we're giving all of the athletes the platform to perform the best way that they possibly can. And so the way that we will look at, even down to the point of the grooming of the beach sprint courses, the transition courses, will be in a way that is going to be able to be as attractive as possible to you guys as a cohort. So it won't be like on crappy, ungroomed beach tracks. It will be groomed the way it should be. It'll be best possible conditions we can set up, and we would work with track community and the beach sprint community to ensure that we can deliver that for you. Do I think a team principal will take a chance on a track athlete? Absolutely. Absolutely. We will have, to give you a parallel example, because I was asked this the other day, it's like, oh, pool swimmers don't know how to catch a body wave. How are you going to, it's an assumption we have. We won't know until we go into market and these things happen. But we assume that a pool swimmer will get on the phone to Kai Hurst or get on the phone to Phil Clayton. I'm coming to see you for a month and you're teaching me how to body surf and catch a wave because I want to do this. And so that'll happen. I want to learn how to wade because I have no idea how to wade. Can you teach me how to do that? Yes, we'll come and we'll do that. And so Kai, for example, Kai and Clado do that already for the British triathlon team to help them prepare for LA. They're teaching them how to basically wade and enter the water in a beach, how to come out there. So that sort of thing happens at Olympic level already. We anticipate the same, and it'll be the same for the kayakers who are only ever raced in the Hungarian, K1 1000 guy that's never raced in the ocean before. Similar things, and it will be similar thing for you guys. And we would anticipate that you'll reach out to your coaches who know how to, and what is the right time, and how to introduce beach sprinting or exposure to sand environments into your training program in a way that is going to help you be part of this, but not be detrimental to your other ambitions. Come on. Which club are you from?
Viking.
Okay, cool. Nice. We have strong ambitions about a New Zealand host city for the Oceania Tour in season 1, and so we're in deep conversations with New Zealand government and Auckland City Councils and other city councils to make that happen. So we anticipate there will absolutely be a New Zealand-based team, most likely an Auckland-based team, who you would anticipate will be filled with Kiwis.
So for those 2 months of Oceania, would we all be together as a team, or do you just go to that city for that weekend? Or?
Yeah, good question. So team principals and the team that they select will manage out how it needs to be managed. And so what I'd anticipate that some athletes will stay with their coaches full time, and they will come in and race the race weekend and be accommodation put up for the race weekend and just return back and forth. If it's an international athlete, we anticipate a slightly different type of model where they will come into the market, they will be looked after by the franchise, and they will be connected to squads. Whether it's a swimmer connected to a squad, whether it's a track athlete connected to a track squad, etc., in the market that they're operating in, so that they're not having to go back and forth for 2 months unless they choose to. If that's what they choose, then that's their choice to make as well. And so there won't be a you must be based here for this period of time while this is happening. Absolutely not. You would work with the team principal as to what's going to work best for you. Again, all athlete-centered, guys. And if we haven't made something athlete-centered, and as we continue to go through this process over the coming months and towards November and then beyond, we'll have athlete committees or people we talk to that we will put things in front of, and they'll tell us, you guys will tell us, no, that's not going to work. Yes, it will. We like that. Maybe change that. And so we'll work with you and continue to work with you to make sure we're creating something that you can perform at your absolute best, because that's what we want. And that's what we need, and that's what's going to help us be successful. So if we set the conditions up, the platform and the conditions around that for you guys to be able to do that, then we'll have done our job. And you'll want to be part of it, because again, you get the choice, right? And if we haven't done our job well, you'll be like, nah, no. And it won't just be you guys, it'll be a lot of other athletes as well. So that puts the onus on us to create a platform and the conditions for you guys to really want to be part of it.
I guess it's similar to Carla's question, but if you're the face of the franchise and they're paying you $100,000 and they say, well, you've got to be with us for 2 months straight, but you don't want to be.
I guess, again, that's really detailed. I can anticipate that conversation happening. How you would manage that will be on an individual case-to-case basis. And if you say, that's not me and I don't want that, I would have significant issues as the leader of the business that someone's putting in. I know that, I know. But I would never want I wouldn't want an athlete being put in that position. To me, that would make me feel incredibly uncomfortable.